Peace, family. What's good? This is chapter 3, part 3 of just going through wealth, health, and success. I want to stick way more in subject here and really make sure I'm giving you high value with this. So let's just jump right in. Chapter 3 is all about the action phase. No longer being separated from your crush or your partner. You activate, you go after it, you start a relationship. You're no longer blocked by how much money that you need to start a business. You figure out a way how to scale this down to where you currently are, or scale it down where you can just start asking people to do a service that you already run, that you already do, and you can get started with business. The issue is that our perspective and our dream of what we want is so far removed from where we currently are. A lot of us never try to get any part of our dream, any part of our success, because we're too focused on the perfect image. Focus on completion, don't focus on perfection. That's not a mindset thing, that's just a lifestyle thing. Focus on doing projects that you can complete. Focus on having services and having products that you can actually create, that you actually make. If your mindset and your idea is that everything has to be 100% perfect, to some degree, yeah, it does. But if it's not 100% perfect, you can then adjust your price to what you are delivering and what you are giving people. Just because you can't give everything doesn't mean that you can't do anything. I say this because I'll give you a little bit more perspective on my background as to why I'm saying that, actually. I'm a father. So that's something that I had to act upon and I actually had to do. I couldn't really discuss being a father. You can't talk about being a father. You can talk about being a mom, but being a dad's something that you just gotta do. You just live being a father. You get no credit for it. No one recognizes anything that you do for it. No one's really grateful for it. But you do it because it's the expectation. When you don't do it, you're a scumbag. I did marketing for a long time, door-to-door marketing. To you. And with that experience of marketing, waking up every single day, being a self-starter, having to motivate yourself, having to grind through knocking door after door after door, 120 to sometimes 240 doors in a day. Sometimes you get one lap done, sometimes you get 3 laps done. It's something that I never wanted him to have to do, which is why I had to really change that pathway. And now I'm currently trying to find a different career field. So I definitely believe in having a job, but I very much enjoy working from home as well. So you might feel like chapter 3 doesn't really discuss the action phase. And looking back on the book, quite honestly, you might want something a bit more formulaic and nonfiction, and I can give you recommendations for that as well. But the idea of this book is to demonstrate and to show you what this actually looks like. It doesn't look like you sat down for 3 months, you made a business plan, and you're just activating. Instead of that idea of a group coming on to kind of pluck you up, what's really going to happen is that crisis is going to come. A situation is going to enter your life that's going to completely transform the way that you do things. You doing X, Y, and Z has gotten you nothing. Now you have to try ABC. Now you have to try DEF. You got to try things that you've never done before, quite honestly and basically, because that's the reality of success and failure. The only reason why you failed was because your method didn't work. The only reason you succeeded is because your method worked. It has nothing to really do with what you enjoy doing. It has nothing to do with what you're good at. It's everything to do with what is actually getting results. Physical, emotional, financial, spiritual return on investment. That can be having more time in your life. What we're all seeking is having more money for sure. But what we really want, what we really need, is to just register everything that we're doing as some sort of return on investment. Yeah, I love having a kid, man. So I just wanted to take you through this question phase because it might look a little confusing, especially since 6 and 7 are missing. Hashtag it's not. whatever it is that you're trying to work on, the first step of that and the biggest thing of that is going to get other people to support you. It's so hard to get through this, to stay activated, to stay motivated when you don't have a good support system behind you. So when you're making these calls, the one sense of the one essence, and I have some statistics for you here, is that you are attempting to sell. I'll be transparent. When I first started my business back in the day, not even the business, when I first started doing my books back in the day, these are two very different things. I did not truly have any real access to my books or getting them done. I started Amazon a little bit later, but I basically just had like .x files and PDFs on my computer that I was giving to people for free. Whether they read it or not, I had no idea. But I would spend massive amount of time marketing. We went to Proplify one year up in Hoboken. That's like a huge technology conference. And you can see everything that's wrong with this just on the basic onset of just that. I'm trying to sell books at a technology conference with no iPad, no cell phone, no anything technological to secure cells, keep people's information. I'm walking around with a clipboard, taking down names, phone numbers, and emails. I had a lot of drive, I had a lot of ambition, but needless to say, it didn't really work. People didn't remember me. When I sent out the email, it was so far removed from when Propify actually happened. If I had Typeform or MailChimp, eWeber, or anything, Constant Contact, anything at that point in time, it would have completely transformed what I was doing. If I would have invested in some technology, it would have completely transformed what I was doing. But this is the one problem versus the second problem I'm going to name, is sometimes we move to the action phase too quickly, and the action that needed to be taken is simply just making sure that there's a product. That's the first way you're going to fail, is that you have a bunch of people who are interested. I think I got over 200 signatures that day just going through paper. I typed all those people's names up by hand in Google Sheets. I got about 200 plus signatures on that. And a total of all the marketing that I did back then, I think I got close to about 800 people on an email list by hand, by straight face-to-face contact, communicating and talking to people. It took a little bit of time, it took a lot of effort, but it's something that we got done, we got accomplished. Versus the second phase, so the first issue there was that I did a lot of marketing, I did a lot of outreach, I did a lot of events, I did a lot of like showing my face around people, but I had no product. So when it came time for people to actually purchase this, when it came time for people to execute, there's nothing there. The second phase is that I started a business doing websites, doing marketing. Yeah, it's better for me to just hold these so you're not making noise all over the place. Doing websites, doing marketing, doing the whole digital, the concept back then was digital infrastructure. So with web traffic, and when you're running web traffic, we're going to talk about marketing a little bit here too. You really want to make sure that everything's flowing properly. So if you create videos, you want to make sure that your videos are starting out on something like YouTube, and then you're making your way to Facebook, to LinkedIn, to Instagram. From Instagram, even then, you can just use YouTube straight to, I want to say Facebook. No, Instagram, straight to Instagram and LinkedIn. I would do that with YouTube. And then from there, Instagram's going to connect directly to Facebook. It's going to connect directly to Twitter and Tumblr. So it's just making that good sense of marketing flow to make sure that everything is getting where it needs to get going. What's going to really stymie on that is if you don't really understand where your digital infrastructure starts, if you're not properly utilizing everything within your digital infrastructure, if you have preferential, like for me, I have preferential treatment to Instagram. I really enjoy using Instagram. I really like it as an app. but Instagram isn't really all that good for conversions. It's good for meeting people and then building relationships and having friendships like that. And then from there, people may or may not support your product, but it's really a crapshoot. Facebook is really where most of those conversions happen and go down. And Facebook was something I just kind of stopped using. So that's my take on that, was that when I had the experience, I worked in the tech field before. I knew a great deal about making websites. I wish I had a lot more experience, a lot more clientele, because it would have left about more positive experience. But when I started doing the digital infrastructure, websites, and marketing, I'm not going to lie to you, this physical perception, this physical skin was really getting me down back then. This is about 2016, 2017. And that's what this book is kind of based off of. Chapter 3 is really based off this experience and what I should have done, not what I did do. I should have applied the same dramatic vigor towards marketing my digital products as I did my books. I did not. By the time that it came to doing my actual business that could have made a lot more money, that did give me a great deal of income and helped me survive for a while, quite honestly, along with doing resumes and cover letters, LinkedIn profiles, was that I was so burnt out already from doing everything myself. You got to have a team around you. You got to have other people who are far more experienced in the field than you are, really helping you and assisting with that. If not, you're going to struggle. You might fail. But failure is inevitable. Just get back up and keep going. And that's really what I learned there, was just to get back up and keep going. So that was 2016, 2017. The first was 2014, 2015, then moving into 2016. And then between about 2015 and 16, that's when I made the mental switch that, hey, these books really aren't bringing any money to the table. You dropped out of school for this, and you need to learn something a lot more concrete. So I started taking web courses on digital marketing and things of that nature. The first failure came in doing too much at first to get attention, but not doing enough to really follow through and sell. So how do you do this properly? You do it properly by having your quality set up before you begin telling people about it. Talking to people about your plans too soon is another way that people fail, because you don't really know whether or not people support you or not. You don't really know whether or not people have your best interest at heart. You don't really know whether or not, you telling so, and like more than any of that, like let all that other stuff be damned about whether or not people support you or like you or buy your product, any of that other crap. You get the same mental satisfaction talking about doing something as you do as doing it. The one thing is that one is concrete. When you do something and you have that sense of accomplishment, it's a concrete feeling that doesn't leave you. It doesn't really flee you. It just Jesus Christ, Mason. It just builds to your confidence. The other thing, when you just talk about it and 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 talk about it, you grow very arrogant, you're very cocky, and then you forget that you haven't accomplished anything yet. You haven't gotten started yet. You promised to do something, you have the idea of doing something, but it's not the same thing as actually executing and bringing it out there. So when you're contacting these people, and you really should contact these people, whether you call them or you send them a direct message, calling people is definitely a far faster route. Talking to people face to face is better than both of those things. But having done those methods, having spoken to thousands of people in a week, it's weird. You can have the talent for it, you can be good at it, but you can't do it without a permit. Cops will stop you. People will think you're weird, and it can end up damaging your brand and damaging your reputation a lot more than had you stayed home. Direct messaging people, there's an art to DMing people. It's not as easy as people make it out to believe. And when you're doing the door-to-door, or you're talking to people directly, it's harder for people to avoid you. they can just not answer the door, but like they eventually have to address you and let you know that they're not interested. On social media, direct messaging people, they will just straight up ignore you. Like you're talking to a beautiful woman, she will just ignore you. She'll read your message from the home screen page, and that's it. You're done after that. I feel like it's a little bit better. It's a little bit less. It's a lot more cold, but you can just unfollow that person. You can delete that conversation, and you can just keep up the momentum a lot better with DMing people. But what's going to happen here is that when you start DMing people, the average numbers here are about 10 to about 50 people that you're going to have on a list. People that you have for just your support system, people that you have for your business, people that you have if you have a nonprofit. You can even do all these for just one thing. If you're running a business already and you want to focus on a business, call 50 people. It would change your life. It would change freaking everything that you're doing. I'm telling you, because the main reason you're not getting sales is that you're not contacting people. You're thinking too much about your problem. You don't know how to solve your problem. The only way you're going to solve your problem is to increase your sales or to hire a salesperson. Hire someone who knows how to do sales. You can pay them a salary plus commission to cover the rest of what you should be paying them. It should honestly just be results based. So if you're dealing with a professional, they would just take the commission. But if you're looking to be a professional yourself as a business owner, you should give them some form of salary, because this is a very vicious day and age. So if you start contacting people like you should, which is daily, if you contact 10 people every single day, by the end of the year, you would have contacted 3,650 people. That's just 365 times 10. But that's more than likely nearly 4,000 people more than you're talking to. You're probably talking to the exact same people in your circle complaining. You might be running some advertisements to be running a social media page, but you're not talking to people. You're not talking about your product. You're not directly pointing someone out and go, hey, you have a need, you have pain points, this solves your problem, this is your solution. Or being able to identify those people, remove them from the contact list, remove them from your sense of focus, because it's been 10 years, they haven't bought anything. It's been 5 years, you're still liking all their posts on Facebook, they don't know you exist. And until you hit that unfollow button, you don't realize that this person's not following you. You don't realize this person isn't seeing your content, because if you I'll give you another tip. When you're doing social media, especially Instagram, why is it every other video I make, you're so calm and you're so nice, and this is the video where you just want to be active. You just want to do, you're going to escape the thought phase and be in the action phase. I appreciate you for showing these people how it's done. I appreciate it. Contact these people, talk to these people. Clean up your social media list, because like I was just about to say, with Instagram, when you have a personal page and personal profile, you're not selling anything, so it doesn't matter. They'll give you free likes, they'll give you free followers, but there's no conversion rate. You're not taking people off the site, so it doesn't hurt anything. You're just content on the web. That's a great thing for Instagram. When you have a business that you're trying to run, Instagram only shows your content to 10% of the people that are following you. So when you're wondering why things dropped from 20 likes, 50 likes, to 10, to 9, to 5, when you're running a business, it's that much harder to make sure that your SEO is working properly, to make sure that your hashtags are actually appearing within the header, actually appearing in the text, actually appearing in the video, and you're not just targeting random hashtags, because that will drop your content down. You have to play your game a lot better when you're running a business page, because you're attempting, and this is just the God honest truth of it, you only really need that 10% conversion rate. When you're doing door-to-door marketing, you're doing telemarketing, your rate of success is about 0.5 to 3%. The amount of people that you're contacting versus the amount of people that say yes, you're a pretty good salesman if you can close out 2 to 3 leads every single day out of 100 or 200 people. That's crazy. You're an elite salesman if you can close about 5 leads. You can get that 3 to 5 ballpark. And some people want 8, some people want 10. So if you're calling 10 people a day, 10 people that are pre-qualified, 10 people that you already know have a need in your service, you've been running your social media properly, you've been running your digital infrastructure properly, these 10 people that you're contacting a day, they may not convert over that day that you contact them, but they know at least 100 to 200 other people that may or may not have your conversion rates. So the key to this is honestly staying in business long enough. And this is really, I just have to put it as fucking simple as it can be. It really is. It's just this fucking simple. You stay in business long enough for all these people that you initially explained and talked to you about your business. When they're ready to convert over, your doors are still open. It's not a matter of, okay, well, I'm doing this thing, I'm running this business. It didn't work in the first 5 months. I had a client like that. It pissed me the fuck off. That I'm sitting here about to get evicted from my apartment. You know, I came to you guys to do digital marketing, and now I'm going door to door, handing out flyers, handing out postages, and talking to people directly. And this isn't what we set out to do. What we set out to do was, Jesus Christ. Mason, you're gonna be a superstar one day. You are just so active in front of the camera, man. Jeez, McGee's, if I had that kind of charismatic enthusiasm. So bumping that up to the top range, contacting 50 people a day, contacting 70 people a day, contacting 80 people a day, because then you go from just that nearly 4,000, that 3.5, 3,650 number, just contacting 10, maybe 15 people every single day, to a solid 18,250 contacts in a year. You're about to get a spanking. I swear to God, if I can't use this content, Mason, if I have to record this video over again, Mason, we're gonna have problems, bro. Be quiet. Jesus Christ. You're up to 18,250 people that you're contacting annually. Once you start reaching those yearly numbers, you're breaking even. You know, you no longer have to worry about working a minimum wage job. If every single one of those people convert and your product's only $1, you're beating minimum wage at that point to some degree. You don't have to go back to working a normal job. That's why some people have a side hustle. They claim that they work from home, but they work from home making, after expenses and all that stuff that they're trying to sell you, they basically make enough to not have to work at Burger King or not have to work at retail. They're not working and making the same amount as someone who got a bachelor's degree or got a master's degree or something like that. But they're making enough that they don't have to work for somebody else. They work for themselves now. You know, it basically gets to that point. I'd say the first stage of the business is definitely the business plan, definitely setting all the pieces and resources in place. But that second phase of business where most people fail, honestly, is you own a job. It's not better than a job. It's a lot harder. It's a lot more hours. It's a lot more work. There's a lot less direction. And you can very easily fail because you don't know which direction that you're supposed to be going in. It's a lot more difficult, quite honestly, with you. But once you have that kind of set focus that you only need to contact 10 to 50 people a day. Some people you contact 50, sometimes you contact 70, sometimes you contact 30, you may contact 15. It's better to stay consistent. So pick a number like maybe 25, maybe 35, where you can average out every single day. And this is going to be across all your social media platforms. I realized that this was when you start contacting people that have 11K followers, I'm only about my biggest account has 1776, and that's on LinkedIn for connections. You contact people that have 11K, that have 100K, that have like 30K, like a mil, and they still have the time to check their inbox and send you a smiley face. They can check their inbox and like what you sent. But you have all these people that have 500, 1,000. These people that have like their heads like so far up their ass, and they can't get back to you ever. Not like in a week, not the next day. They never get back to you ever. They never like your content. You can see that they see it. You can see the reach at 300, but you only see about 20, 30 likes. People are fugazi. So when you contact people directly like this, you get to erase the fake people. You get to erase the Ponzi people. You get to erase the people and the charlatans trying to scam you and waste your time, waste your feed. Because why are you bothering showing this? You only get 10%. So if that 10% are fake followers, ghost followers, people that don't actually support you, people that are never going to buy your product, you need a personal social media page on the side where those people can do that. Your mother isn't your ideal candidate for your business. I'm just sorry to break that to you. A lot of people get upset and they get heartbroken because their closest friend has no need for new windows. Do you need new windows? You know, I used to get upset that my lady life partner didn't like. Oh, you don't support me. You don't support me. Once I can get a plan together where someone else can step into my madness and give some sense of direction to what I'm doing, fucking great. Until then, you can't complain about someone not supporting you. You're not giving them anything where they can support. It's different when you have a universal product like music or something, and someone can just listen to your SoundCloud. That's not really a business until you start organizing and selling and owning your rights and owning your masters, things of that nature. So if that's just $5, that 10 to 50, let's say that you're a writer, you're a musician, just like that, or you're selling like small 5 gig flash drives, no sweat skis, $5. If you contact 10 people every single day for a year, you're once again at about $18,250. That's a great level to be at. If that's extra income, if that 10 to 50 takes you about 30 minutes, maybe an hour a day, you made $18,000, damn near a little over $18,000, just contacting 10 people every day. That's not bad. That's great. That's a whole new lifestyle, a whole new form of imagination that other people can never believe and never understand. You know, these people going in your DM saying, "Do you want to spend $500 to get back 5,000?" Uh, you can buy a book. The higher number, though, a lot more impressive number, and you start to realize how businesses succeed versus why businesses fail, is that if you're contacting 50 people a day for 365 days, that's 91,250 bucks off a $5 conversion. That's insane. You know, so when you're too proud to sell, you're too proud to contact the people, you're too scared to contact the people, that's going to be why things don't succeed. That's going to be why things don't flow. And it doesn't just have to be contact, because eventually you're going to run out of social media followers to contact. Eventually, this method of communication will not be scalable for you, and you will not have the time and energy to DM 10 to 50 people. You could, and there's nothing stopping you from that. There's millions, billions of users on social media. Millions. Uh, this 10 to 50 is also in follow ups. The 10 to 50 is also in development. The 10 to 50 is in closing. It's, you know, it's not just here's a link to my shit. Build relationships with these people. So, as you may have noticed, 6 and 7 do not appear in the book. I could edit this out, but I'm just going to give you the challenges through this, because the idea is that you're supposed to be following along with the videos as well as reading the book. So, the first is an introvert challenge. You really need to mastermind and understand the science of advertising. Once you can understand that advertising is great for conversions, yes, but advertising also lets you know who's actually interested in your product. Marketing, just so we can explain all these things, marketing is akin to finding. It's akin to basically finding people that are in your market segment inside your very specific group of people who would buy your product. Some people like Wendy's, some people like Burger King, some people like McDonald's. These people have diehard fans because those are three separate market segments. Burger King is usually a little bit more of the middle class standard. Wendy's, I'm not gonna say lower income, but it's the more accessible, the more wildly like just seen like brand. There's Wendy's looking everywhere. I see way more Wendy's than I like going state to state even. I see Wendy's competing with A&W's, competing with Swenson's and like local brands. Burger King can't really do that because Burger King doesn't have that quality. It's just fast. McDonald's though is the brand. It's the genius segment. It markets not to everybody, but it markets to everyone within specific real estate locations and areas. McDonald's is a real estate business. Wendy's is a family establishment. Burger King is fast food. You put it like that. If you can understand advertising, which is then after you understand and basically discriminate between who wants to buy your product, who doesn't want to buy your product, who's in your niche, who's not in your niche, where are the people that are in your niche, where are they circled up, where do they gather, where do they get information, how do they gain information about products that they're going to buy, do they do it through referrals, are there certain websites that people go to, do they go to Angie's List, Craigslist, do they only accept things from celebrities, because then you might be SO fucking L. That's what marketing is, because a lot of us doing door-to-door marketing, doing door-to-door sales, you understand what the fuck marketing is. So when you're not selling anything, your marketing sucks. You're selling to everybody. That's not good. Not everybody needs what you're selling. It's not good because you only have 24 hours in your day. What are you going to do with those 24 hours? You don't need to sleep. You don't need to see your family. You don't need to take a crap. You don't need to eat. You don't like to watch TV. You don't like to get off your feet. You want to walk around a neighborhood all day. No, you don't. Nobody does. You want to be talking to random people all day. Yeah, maybe you do, but no, you really don't. You're going to get burnt out eventually, no matter freaking what. Advertising is getting your product in front of people's faces, getting your brand in front of people's faces, getting your brand representative in front of people's faces. Instead of you just focusing upon and focusing on who's going to buy it, who's supporting you, who's not supporting you, who liked your stuff, who didn't like your stuff, start with the engagements. Who's commenting, who's liking. Those are the people that you want to build. And it's hard to mentally and emotionally do that because you're so dedicated and focused upon reaching the 100 percentile. And that's great. That's a very earnest, altruistic thing to do, and I attempt to do the same thing. Sadly, it doesn't fucking work. When you try to focus yourself on that 10 percentile that's actually engaging with you, actually following you, actually looking to be your fandom, that's when you're going to start making conversion rates because that 10% is going to turn into that 0.5 to 3%. All you need is 0.5 to 3% to stay afloat for most of the year until you can spread out. Focus. This is the reason why it's so important to just get into the fucking action phase. So start where you are. You're not at a level when you can sell a product to 1,700 people, 17,000 people, 17 million people, and stay in business because you're going to have too many people that want to buy your product and you don't have any product to fucking sell people yet. Versus the opposite end, you have the holy grail, you have great product, you have a great service, you can help a lot of people, but you're too tight-fisted and you're too cheap and you're just too stubborn at that point or burnt out. Maybe you're too, like Dereck. Maybe you're just too exhausted. You're too burnt out. You face too much rejection, and you can't go out there and fucking do it again. I understand. I'm at that point. I feel it. Whatever. Move forward. Great. So advertise. Understand what it's like to promote your own product. Who is going to promote you better than you're going to promote you? Who's going to want to listen? I go back, I listen to this whole 35, 40 minutes that I might share with you right now, because I'm not going to edit this video. I'm not going to start this video over. You can listen to it or you can not listen to it. I'll be in the same fucking boat I was already in. But for the small percentage of people that listen to it, they're going to gain some nuggets of wisdom, they're going to understand some things to improve their business, and they're going to move on from that. The people that couldn't get past 5 minutes of my son crying or whatever, fuck you. Have a fucking kid, you asshole. Get to that point. Get to that level. When someone's not supporting you, you don't need to convince them. Oh, my God. You don't understand. I'm a great fucking salesman. You're not supposed to convince someone to buy your fucking product. That's not sales. That's manipulation. That's being a sociopath. You're not convincing anybody. You're not coercing anybody. You don't need an amazing fucking discount unless you got it like that, or you just don't really care too much about the financial end of things. It's okay to do giveaways and give things away for free. That's not a business model. It's not a non-profit model. It's not something plausible that you can do for a very long time. So get out of your head of what you want to work and what you want to do and start doing the things that are actually going to work. You're not trying to force people to do anything. There are people that already want your product. There are people out there that are waiting for a book. I'm telling you, this book isn't even out yet. It's the worst part about all this. I talked to over 1,000 people. Not within a year, within a matter of like weeks. Thousands of people. Every single week. Who are waiting for a book that does not exist yet. For years. It's like a Jay Electronica album. It's different levels to this shit. I have a bunch of other books that are out. Great, that's all that's good. There's people that want to read those books too, but they're waiting on a book that doesn't exist. They're interested and they're following for something that's not there yet. You don't need to convince anybody. It's like dating. This is the biggest thing, like the issue with men. You don't need to force a woman to rape a woman or manipulate a woman or force a woman to do anything on God's green earth. It's not how you operate with the female species. If you have a leadership quality to you, then great. You can leave some. You're gonna piss them off. Keep criticizing her. Keep telling her what to do. See how it works out for you. It won't. Find a woman that wants to do the things that you want to do. All right, it's that simple. Find a woman that you want to do the things that she wants to fucking do. That's how it works. So then you no longer have to keep trying to convince yourself to a woman who's not interested in you, who doesn't like anything that you like, isn't interested in anything that you want to do, isn't interested in anything that you want to talk about, because you had the self and respect and decency to go, you know what, I like Dungeons and Dragons, and I can find someone who's going to let me go to a Dungeons and Dragons campaign once a week. I want to go to Bible study once a week. I'm going to find someone who lets me go to Bible study. You know, I want to get closer to God. I want to get closer to my family, and they support that. They let you do that. You don't have to force yourself with people or force yourself in relationships, especially not business relationships with people, in which you're trying to show them the value of your... People aren't retarded, and if they are retarded, you don't want them buying your product. People can inherently see the value of buying a book. The issue is going to be, is this a book that I'm going to like or not? And they may not like it because it's not their genre. They may not like it. I mean, people, they only read nonfiction. They have no value for fiction books. They have no need for a fiction book. If they want to see something fake and pretend, they can watch it on TV in 20 minutes, not 20 hours. Once you remove the You get out of the passion phase, you realize what you want to do. You get out of the thought phase, you realize how you have to do it. The action phase is not about emotion, because the route of being a professional has nothing to do with any of this other shit that we do. Being a professional has nothing to do with motivation. It has nothing to do with liking what you do. It has nothing to do with being good at what you do. It has nothing to do with being the best at what you do. It's about doing it. Doing it consistently. Doing it to completion. Being entrusted and holding yourself responsible for completing the action at hand. If you're a writer, finish the chapter. If you finish enough chapters, you will finish a book. If you finish the book, give yourself the service to look it over once and edit it the same way that you wrote it, chapter by chapter, page by page. You don't have to look at it being 500 pages, so I don't feel like doing it, or 100 pages, so it's going to take so little time, I don't have to get started now. A professional just does. And they keep doing, and they keep doing, and they keep doing. That's why people make money. They just keep doing. It's not because they love it. It's not because they like it. It has nothing to do with any of that mindlessness. It is literally everything to do with, are you a professional? I've had clients that I've absolutely hated. And now I would never work with you. I would never work with any client that I've had. I don't care if you see it. I don't care what kind of review you have for me. I had one person, she was pretty okay, but I just did so much more for her than I've done for any other client before in my lifetime. She's hitting me up at random parts of the day, asking me to do something for her and expecting it done like this, and then I got an actual professional job and she no longer wanted to pay me because I had a job, and I'm like, the two things have nothing to do with it. Me getting paid from the job has nothing to do with you paying me for service. You should pay me now because I didn't really like what you did. That's great. People don't really like your product. Don't be so beggy for money. Don't be so dependent on money that in your own business, in your own sanctum and farm, you're forced to work with people that you don't want to work with. I've worked with cheapskates. My average price for a website is about $450 with everything that I do. That's pretty damn good. And I have people that they can't afford it. So I'm like, all right, I'll do it for $175. That doesn't. But you have to buy your own web hosting. You have to take care of all that crap for yourself, and then they take the cheapest route possible. We end up using some bullshit, and then you can only work with what you got. Of other people, cheapo, brought that $450 down to $150 because I didn't know you had bank like that, and it has nothing to do. Your product has nothing to do with how much money they have in their pocket. Your product has everything to do with the value of your product. Don't worry about how much money someone has. If it's important to them, they will find the money for it. If someone wants to do something, they will find a way to do it. If it's not that important to them, keep moving on. Dude told me that the website I made for him was shit. So basically what happened was that I spent an entire week working on this thing, editing this thing, perfecting it, getting it great. But because of I'm not blaming him. It's just something I did not know. Just the way that the WordPress website was set up, the index.html page was static. It wasn't something that I had access to. So I'm editing the homepage. I'm editing the website. I'm editing all these things that are going on. So I know that the work that I'm putting forth looks fucking great. And then when you press publish, you get it all finished up and you submit it to the person, everything that I did was undone. So instead of trying to explain to the person, I just spent hours so many hours more than you paid me, so much more time than your $150 could afford working on this website. And because of the way that you have it set up, everything that I did was undone. Not to mention you going behind me and then editing and switching things, and I hate when people do that. So I haven't made a website since 2019, maybe 2018 or so. So I hated dealing with fucking certain people. That's a beautiful thing when you contact 10 to fucking 50 people a goddamn day about something you want to do. You not wanting to work with one person isn't going to matter. You can resell it to somebody else, give them the client, and take a small percentage off of that. You're not stuck. But unless you're doing it consistently, unless you're doing all the things that you need to do, you can't do that. I had one client that was amazing, and I was shitty. I was a bad fucking partner in that. That, again, I was getting foreclosed on, so I really fucking needed the money. I'm working on the website. I'm making great progress with the website. I have a live feed and conversation going with the website. But I needed the money way before the deadlines that she set to receive the money. There was no way. It was basically like, okay, I'm working on a new website, but my Wi-Fi just got cut off. So, I don't know what you want me to do. Make sure that everything is taking. This is why you should have a job or something when you're starting a business and you're at the ground level of all this. Have a job or something, because everything that you're doing needs to be provided for. You need electricity, you need water, you need food, you need shelter. I pulled this off survival status for a full year once, and I worked at the library. That is great until the library closes. It is a great business mindset. It's a great mentality that I was staying a lot, just off the apartment. I'm living at my grandma's house. My grandma's senile, so she has no say in anything that's going on. So I have a power-hungry, I'm not going to give too much details about this shit, but I have a power-hungry relative inside the house. This just makes you not want to be there. Just makes you not want to be there. So I go to the library every single day, take the bus down to the library. It's about 20, 40 minutes out on the bus every single day. I live there. I would go to the library damn near when it opened. There was a Wendy's right there. I go to the Wendy's for a couple hours, work inside the Wendy's, go back to the library, work until the library closed, go back home. Got so much done. That's great, but the library closes at 9 o'clock. What do you do when a client contacts you at 9:30? What do you do when a client needs something at 10? I was running a business through Fiverr at that time. What do you do when your Fiverr deadline is like 12 a.m.? You wake up, you got a gig in Fiverr that's doing 24 hours, the 12 hours have already passed, and you actually need 24 hours to get this shit done. Understand how much time it takes to get your product done. You can't do that. The reason why people fail immediately after leaving the thinking phase is that thought has no basis in reality. What we think about, what we desire, what we want, what we plan has nothing to do with how the world actually fucking works. It only is based upon how we want the world to work, how we want things to be, how we need things to be so that we can pay our rent, pay our bills, take care of our family, and seem like a provider, seem like a strong alpha male or some shit like that. When you're not doing that, it can frustrate you, it can make you mad, it can make you upset. That means that you're human, but eventually you need to get out of that passion phase, you need to get out of that thinking phase, and you need to get to the action phase, because the action phase is when you can start taking responsibility for what you do. You can start seeing what you're doing wrong. You can start seeing what you're doing right, which is even better than seeing what you're doing wrong sometimes. But quite honestly, when you're just starting out, that first 2 to 3 years, that first 2 to 3 years, you need to be focusing on everything that's going wrong, everything that you did wrong, all these expenses that you have. Because if you can get that fixed in 3 years, By the time you hit the 5-year mark, you're set for success because you've managed all your expenses. So instead of you having to go to the library to spend, now I don't think I go to the library for shit. There's not a fucking thing. I do maybe print, but I go to Staples for that now. I pay a little extra to go to Staples and get some better paper. There's not a single fucking thing in the world I need to go to the library for right now. I have my own work studio. I have a studio. I have a bedroom. I got a private bathroom. There's not a single thing in the world I need to do in another place. You know, Wi-Fi is paid. Electric is paid. Water's included. You know, there's just so many things that you mentally and emotionally will take for granted when you're in the thought phase. Because you only have to think about what would go wrong. And then for most of us, sadly, once we think about how something would go wrong, we don't do it. It's not a bad thing. I'm not going to insult you for that because it's how humans are built. That's how humans are programmed. If you know something is going to have a negative stimuli, if you know something's going to cause a negative experience, you don't have a desire to do this thing anymore. That's just it. That's why people feel programmed to talk you out of things so that you don't hurt yourself, so you don't feel pain, so you don't experience failure. Stop being mad at people that tell you not to achieve your fucking dreams. Motivate them. Educate them. Show them the pathway. Or fucking listen. Best thing you do is listen. If someone tells you that your business isn't going to succeed because you don't have any startup capital, listen to them and find some startup capital. If someone tells you that your business isn't going to succeed because you quit everything that you start, let this be the one thing that you don't quit. We get a sad, and this is another just program within us, is that when someone says something about you, don't be the type of person that has to prove them right. If someone thinks that you're the smartest person that's ever existed, great, that might sound like a compliment, but show some humility and let them understand, hey, there's also a lot of things that I do not know. The best way that you can do that, find that person's expertise and get them to educate you on it. Show them that they can educate you on things that you know nothing about. Show appreciation for their field of study, for their field of work, for their discipline, and then you can live and exist within a sense of commonality, because the friend that thinks that you know everything, the friend that thinks that you're the most intelligent person in the world is not going to be the first person that calls you up when they want to hang out, or they want to have a drink, or they want to watch a goddamn TV show. Just isn't. So if that's the same thing with your business, if people may not even know your prices, they might just see you dressed in a suit every goddamn day. That's what I did. It's great for mental programming sometimes. So I wear a suit every single day going to the library in East Orange. So I'm surrounded by not complete degradation, not complete poverty. That's like an understatement. But I'm like in a place where the governmental funding and the funding that's meant to improve this area isn't going to improve the area. There's not really much that the citizens can do about it but protest and complain, but most of them are working families, so they don't have time to do that. And then the elected politicians and the state-run officials are just raping the city, raping the county, and raping that area in general for its resources. And sadly, there's not much that you can really do about it. So I wear a goddamn suit every goddamn day. Saved me a lot of issues, saved me a lot of struggle, and you can tell people deal with you differently. People look at you differently. People will look at, I'm sorry I said that, but people will look at what you're working on completely. What you're working on shows so much more importance to people and value to people because you're wearing a suit. Let me tell you, me telling someone that a resume costs $30 wearing a suit is so much different than telling someone a resume costs $30 wearing this. Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing, and I'll end with this because I'm running out of time and I won't be able to put this up for hours if this goes on any longer. Sometimes you're wearing the suit, and as a salesman, you don't want to be overdressed. You want to dress slightly better than your customer, but you don't want to look like you're walking into prom or walking to formal or you're at a funeral or something of that nature, because it's just going to ruin the mood. It just ruins the atmosphere. That's why you have some restaurants that you walk into, everyone's wearing slacks, everyone's wearing a white, crisp, starchy, button-down shirt, nice tie, and an apron, keep it clean, keep it classy. Other people are wearing leggings and a t-shirt and a visor. You know, this gives off two completely different elements. Their prices might be the exact same, but when you have that friendly family environment, that $30 seems like you're giving it to a local guy, you're giving it to real people. When you're in the upscale restaurant, that $30 either seems like an investment within your personal mindset and your personal growth, and you feeling so woo, 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 woo about life and shit like that, or it's the opposite effect. I went to a restaurant one day for Valentine's Day, and we were like the only black people in the building, let alone the room. We could afford our meal, but I felt so uncomfortable there. You know, we were dressed up pretty well and whatnot, but then like we dressed up pretty well to go to this very expensive restaurant. Looked like a rapper, a rapper's girlfriend or whatever, or a singer and her trophy hubby. Surrounded by white people wearing just a polo and some shorts. They got money. You know, they don't have to worry about. I checked out the restaurant beforehand. I looked at the menu. I wanted to see how expensive it was. I had the plan set in mind for how much money we were going to spend. We dressed up, rushed home after work to get dressed again, picked out her outfit, was so excited to go back out. We get to the restaurant. I just felt so fucking retarded sitting there with all these fucking white people. And it's feeling like you don't fucking belong because you don't really have that kind of bankroll. Same price tag. Means something completely different to you. So don't worry about your prices. If your product is worth it, people will pay it. The only reason people will pay for your product or want your product is because people don't really buy things they want. That is a misconception. That is something that when I'm watching my girlfriend shop online or I'm seeing her with these interests, these are not things that she desires. These aren't things that she wants. These are things that she identifies as a part of her personality. She identifies this as a part of her. These are things that she needs in her life to feel like who she is as a person. I can kind of resonate with that if I really sat down and thought about it deeply enough with my spending, but I'm the opposite. Me not doing that, me not having that mindset and belief gives me the reinforcement of who I believe I am as a person to my detriment or to my benefit, just like spending too much money is to your detriment or to your benefit. Focus on your niche. Focus on the people who are here. That's why I don't mind making a 1-hour video for that one person that's sitting here with me going with a notebook writing this shit down because I understand he's been through this before. He knows what the fuck he's talking about. And I don't want to go through anything that he's fucking been through. I want his successes. I don't want his failures. And that's wisdom. That's how you get through life. So that's great. I don't have the money that you want. Fuck you. I don't give a shit. I don't have the business that you want. That's great. I don't care. You know, I have experience and wisdom and things that you need to know to avoid failure and to focus on success. That's it. Our mentalities are completely different. I failed more times than I can count, but I got back up every single time. And that's it. If you do not quit, success is inevitable. If you quit, the next day, someone will hit you up and ask you for your product. The next week, someone will hit you up and want to pay you twice as much to do a different product, to do a different project. They're going to ask you, do you still have this interest and expertise? Do you still have this passion and expertise and thought process? Do you? And if you don't, you missed out because you quit too soon. You're going to be alive regardless, no matter what you do. you might as well be alive and get into the fucking action phase. You might as well be alive and attack these things that you want to do. You might as well be alive and accomplish things that you're attempting to accomplish. God bless you. I love you. Have a great day.